the critic who refuses to lead the debate. Max Verstappen didn't hide his frustration when Oscar Piastri was handed a 10-second penalty that almost nobody in the paddock understood. He made it clear that Formula One has drifted into a world of over-engineering where stewards are trapped inside a rulebook that grows thicker every month. And instead of offering a diplomatic solution, he made a simple gesture. He pretended to feed the guidelines into a shredder. That single moment said more than any press conference could. But the real story is what he did next. He stepped back. He refused to lead the debate. He said it was better to say nothing because he has learned the hard way that anything he says publicly can be turned against him. Whether it's the infamous penalty he received for a swear word or the endless arguments about his overtakes, he knows the system is ready to punish even the tone of his criticism. So he lets others take the stage. Carlos Sainz and George Russell are preparing the documents for the next FIA meeting. Max will attend, sit quietly, and let them speak. His reason is simple. He understands the politics too well. If he pushes for change, he becomes the target. If he calls for reform, he becomes the headline. And if he opens his mouth too far, he knows exactly how quickly another penalty can land on his side of the table. The paradox begins here. He wants fewer rules, he wants more freedom, and he's the most vocal critic of the current system. Yet he refuses to lead the revolution he publicly demands. This retreat into silence is strategic, not cowardly. Max has watched drivers before him burn their credibility by becoming too outspoken, too confrontational with the governing body. He has seen how the media twists every comment into controversy, how social media amplifies every word into warfare. He knows that leading from the front makes you an easier target, and in a sport where consistency matters more than righteousness, staying out of the crosshairs is part of the winning formula. The driver who uses the rules better than anyone. Here's the twist. The man who wants fewer rules is also the master of the rules that exist. If there is a loophole, Max Verstappen will find it before anyone else even realizes it's there. And when the guidelines give him an inch, he will turn it into an entire corner. Austin 2024 was the perfect example. He reached the apex first, went off track while defending, pushed Norris wide, and did it all without breaking a single written instruction. The guideline never said the defender needed to stay on the circuit, so Max used the exact wording to his advantage. Norris was penalized. Max drove away unpunished. When questioned, he simply replied that he didn't make the rules. He only follows them as written. A week later in Mexico, the same instinct appeared again. This time he crossed the line a little too obviously and received 2 separate 10-second penalties. But even then, his reaction was telling. His tone wasn't angry or confused, it was amused. His comments about the penalties being impressive or silly showed that he sees the system as something to be navigated rather than respected. This is what Toto Wolff meant when he said that drivers like Max exploit rules the moment they allow a certain way of racing. Max doesn't wait for clarity. He tests the guideline, interprets the gray zone, and pushes the boundary further until somebody rewrites the line behind him. His racing intelligence operates on multiple levels simultaneously. While other drivers react to what's in front of them, Max is already calculating what the regulations permit 3 corners ahead. He studies race director notes with the intensity most drivers reserve for track maps. He remembers precedents from seasons past that stewards have long forgotten. This institutional knowledge becomes weaponized advantage. And that's why he wants fewer rules. Not because fewer rules are more fair. Not because fewer rules make racing cleaner, but because fewer rules remove his advantage. When regulations are vague, Max's instincts and intelligence win the day. When everything is tightly controlled, everyone is forced into the same box. The freedom disappears, the creativity disappears, and the advantage disappears with it. In simpler times, when racing was governed more by gentlemen's agreements than technical directives, a driver like Max would have dominated even more completely. His ability to find and exploit ambiguity would have been unstoppable in an era of looser interpretation. The current system, ironically, is the only thing keeping the competition closer than it might otherwise be. This is the middle of the paradox. Max hates the rules, criticizes the rules, and wants the rules shredded. Yet he is the single greatest student of those same rules. He understands them better than anyone, He plays with them better than anyone. And he wins with them better than anyone. The driver who created more rules than anyone. The final layer of the paradox is the most revealing of all. Max Verstappen isn't just the biggest rule exploiter on the grid. He is also the biggest rule creator of the modern era. More rule changes have been made because of Max's driving than any other driver in Formula One history. His impact is so extreme that the FIA has reshaped regulations again and again simply to control the situations he created. He debuted at 17, so Formula One raised the minimum age to 18. He moved under braking in 2016, so the Verstappen rule was introduced. He positioned himself aggressively during the Abu Dhabi 2021 restart, so the safety car restart rules were rewritten. He brake-tested Hamilton in Jeddah, so sudden deceleration clarifications were added. He forced Hamilton wide in Brazil 2021, so new guidelines on off-track forcing were introduced. He performed drifting burnouts after wins, so celebrations were restricted. Every time Max stretches the sport stretches back. He redefines the edge. The FIA redraws the line. And even in 2025, the cycle continued. Red Bull exposed a cost cap weakness by fitting him with a new engine under reliability justification, and the FIA admitted they didn't have the expertise to challenge it. The loophole was there. Red Bull used it. Max benefited from it. The truth is that the rulebook has become a living document of Max Verstappen's career. Future historians won't need to watch his races to understand his impact. They can simply read the regulation changes and trace his fingerprints across every amendment. Each new clause is a monument to a moment when he pushed too far, exploited too cleverly, or won too controversially for the sport to ignore. This is the full paradox, complete and unmistakable. He shaped the rulebook more than anyone. He bends the rulebook better than anyone. He criticizes the rulebook louder than anyone. He wants the rulebook shredded. And he stays silent because he knows the book exists largely because of him. He is the cause and the consequence, the problem and the proof. The driver who breaks rules, uses rules, attacks rules, and inspires rules. That's the Verstappen paradox. And that's why he stands alone in modern Formula One. No driver has ever been simultaneously so constrained by regulations and so liberated by understanding them. No driver has ever criticized a system while benefiting so completely from mastering it. And no driver has ever shaped the future of racing rules while arguing for their elimination. Max Verstappen is the most paradoxical figure the sport has ever produced, and perhaps that's exactly what makes him its most defining champion.